doubly blessed to have been joined by Alex Lowe.
Hello there. Nice to be here.
That's it, Alex Lowe. That's who we got in here today.
That's all.
I don't want any of these nonsense characters, all right?
Oh, just me. Yeah, all right.
This is, as Mike Yolds used to say, now this is me.
Yeah. No, it's nice not to do any funny voices.
Yes,
for a change. Yeah.
Don't. It's nice for us.
Lovely. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for having me.
What are you up to? Well, you've got loads of stuff going on. We'll talk about all that there.
Yeah, well, the big thing is I'm doing this tour as Clinton Baptiste, which is a clairvoyant medium psychic I played on Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights. Peter's very kindly allowed me to do the character on the circuit. You and I have both been on stage on the same bill doing it.
What do you mean Peter's kindly allowed you?
Well,
you wrote the character.
No, I didn't. No, it's Peter's character.
But you don't do the script. You don't go on and do a script.
But to be fair, you know, it originates from his show, and a lot of people come to see me because of Phoenix Nights. I can't pretend they're coming to see Alex Lowe of Barry from Watford fame. They mostly come to see because of Phoenix Nights.
So Peter, being the gentleman that he is, has said to you, you're very welcome to use that character. What's it, 5%?
No, we don't really discuss money. He's been very, very good to me.
Only when he starts earning do they say.
Well, that has crossed my mind. That has crossed my mind. But yeah, I'm going up down the country with Phil McIntyre Productions. From tomorrow, I've just been on holiday. I've got to really get my nose to the grindstone and sort it all out.
What do you mean? You've got the set all sorted out? You've got the hour? What is it? Hour and a half?
No, it's me. The set is kind of I've got various props I've been trying to make myself.
Okay,
and you open tomorrow.
Eh?
And you actually
no. I start rehearsing properly tomorrow.
Right, okay.
But the interesting thing was, Bob, when I saw you here the other week, and you said to me, "What do you mean rehearsing? It's not a play." But to a certain degree, you know, there's a lot of lines to learn.
I think so, yes. Yes, I suppose you can think of it like that. I always think of it as just remembering it rather. Yes. I mean, do you write stuff? Actually?
I always think, you know, I mean, I'm much more of an actor than I am a stand-up. And I've never really done stand-up with just as me. It's always been in character. So when I'm in a dressing room with the likes of, and it's laughingly known as a dressing room at some club in the toilets.
Green room.
In the green room. With
nice little room, just the one seat with a lid.
That one. If I'm in the disabled toilet with the likes of you and various other, you know, comedians, I always feel a bit like, oh God, no, they are the proper stand-ups. But, you know, so I always do it in character. I mean, needless to say, there's a certain amount of in situ you've got to deal with an audience.
Yeah.
But, so I'm more of an actor than I'm a stand-up. So there's a certain amount of learning it by rote.
So you're basically the Ronnie Barker of
I think so.
Because that's exactly how he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Not that he's ever done the Chesham Comedy Club, Ronnie Barker, but, you know... I'm sort of headlining his gigs now, which is lovely. But what I always find really odd is I managed to sort of straddle the camps of, you know, being with actors in a dressing room, which is a totally different thing to being with stand-ups in a dressing room. And the stand-ups are always talking about, oh, did you do this gig and that producer and he's like this and, oh, I did that, I died at this one and that one. Have you played that one? I was thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, there's a whole different culture of stand-ups and playing in clubs that's totally different to being an actor.
I wonder if the difference is, I don't know, but I wonder if you're in a dressing room full of actors.
Yeah.
And suddenly the audience outside goes really quiet. Do they all run out really quick to see who's dying on there? Quick, Olivier's going down the toilet.
No, they...
That is so true.
I wonder if actors... I'll tell you what. Do you see Derek Jacobi going down the toilet on Hamlet? Oh, it was magic.
Judi Dench stinking the place out.
There was 37 of us up the back.
No, I mean, you know, actors, even though, however insincere it is, there's still a sense that we're all in this together. You don't get that kind of, how long's he been on? He's doing well sort of thing. It's like, we're all in this together.
That's my favourite, that.
No, do you know what? You open the can of worms with that
how long's he been on?
Yeah, honestly, that is my...
Seriously?
Sometimes I'll sit there and you'll be talking, maybe you're on with Dominic or something, you're sitting chatting, and then suddenly you're both looking and saying, How has he done? How much laughter does he think there is out there?
Yeah.
And especially when it's someone you think, oh, God, don't laugh. You'll only encourage him.
The other one that makes me laugh is when they literally die and you watch them and you feel for them and you go, oh, bless you, mate, that really didn't work. But they come off and they go, stormed it.
Yeah. Oh, a bit too much for him, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Well, again, I'm telling the story again, I'm sorry. My dear friend and the goddess of comedy, Mandy Knight.
Oh, bless her. What a great lady.
We're doing a gig in Watford and there's a guy, someone we all know, stinks the place out, as a stink, a real stink. We all do, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. There's nothing there for him at all. Yeah. It's one of those things, to quote Simon Bly, you might have been a comic last night, tonight you're just a bloke talking. Right? And he does, and me and Mandy respectfully leave just before he comes off and go up to the dressing room. And we're sitting there, and he comes in. And he comes in, and he said, oh, what a terrible audience. They were rubbish, weren't they, that audience? There was a table at the back. I tell you what, it was going over their heads. I did a club last night in Coventry. It was fantastic. I blew it away. Did 2 encores. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and this table down here, they were rubbish. I remember that gag I do, repeating it. That's one of the funniest gags on the circuit. People are always saying, and they're looking at it and don't understand it. Oh, what a load of idiots, blah, blah, blah. He went on for about 10 minutes, put his coat on and said, anyway, I've got some people in, so I'm going to go and have a meal now. And he leaves. And Mandy gets her tea in her teacup, because she always has a tea in her teacup, takes a sip of tea and says, oh, remember the old days, Bob? Hey, when if you died on your arse, you had the good grace to just sod off.
But there are a lot of younger comics who do that thing about they just don't get what I'm doing.
No.
I always think it's not for you.
Listen,
not for you. It's for them. They paid.
If you're a young comic, you listen to this, there will be times, I know you can't see it and you don't want to let it into your brain, but I'm telling you now, you're going to die. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right?
You've got to die.
When it happens, suck it up and leave.
Yeah.
Because other comics don't want you there. They don't want to catch what you've got.
Yeah.
They don't want it. Tomorrow, we'll all, listen, if you're doing Friday and Saturday, tomorrow's fine. It's a clean slate. We'll start again. But tonight, you've got the juju medicine. We don't want it. We don't want that rubbing off on us, all right?
That's good advice. Great advice.
It's really good advice.
I'm a big one for hanging around and needing succour.
No, get out.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Don't make us feel bad.
Hold on a minute though, right? Because what I love, and maybe I'm quite rare at this, but when I watch comics and they're dying and I'm there ready to go on and I'm watching them, I actually enjoy watching their brains working and trying to make people laugh on the material that they've never used before.
Oh, that's lovely. And what I love most of all is when they've got so far down the road, and someone says something and they say, sorry, mate, what'd you say? What'd you say? And you think, don't do that, because chances are it was funnier than anything you've said. Oh, man. Can you sit forward, apparently? It's saying on my screen.
I can.
Can you please tell Kev to sit forward? And it says in brackets, tell him the mics aren't very good. The truth is, he's just a bit leany.
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
Oh,
right, okay. Do you know, I was just following you on Twitter. I might just...
unfollow him.
No,
it's a weird thing. And do you know what? Funny enough, I sometimes work on Talk Sport, our sister station, and that's not... When you talk to footballers, they're exactly the same. If you're injured, get out. We don't want you in the... Doesn't matter if you're Lionel Messi. If you're injured, just go, because we don't want that atmosphere. We don't want that vibe around us.
I did a gig in Covent Garden, and it's the 2 venues.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You know the one?
Yeah.
And I was downstairs.
Are we allowed to say it?
Are we allowed to say it?
What?
Well, it's not anymore, though. It's not.
Top secret?
Top secret.
No, it wasn't.
Don't say that.
It was. Don't say it. Yeah. No, it was the one way before that, about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when it was run by John Lewis.
Oh, down Earlham Street.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So downstairs, 4 comics, and we stormed it. And I genuinely mean, they stood up and they gave us a standing ovation. We walked upstairs to do the second gig following that night, right, at 10:30, whatever it was. Walked on stage, all 4, including myself, died.
Yeah,
and one of the comics literally looked at the audience with his line, and he just went, as he finished his material, to silence. He went, so, ladies and gentlemen, he said, I always like to finish on a lull. And just walked off.
But it's really curious that, because the aforementioned club that I don't know if we're allowed to mention, Top Secret, I was there the other week doing the, trying out material for the tour.
For Clinton?
For Clinton.
Oh, okay.
And
have you heard Clinton? He's got the funniest little helium northern voice. Just do one line of Clinton.
Go on.
Well, come on, and I say, you're right. And now I've got someone here. Is this ringing any bells? I'm speaking to Beyond the Celestial Curtain. It's a man or a woman. Is that ringing any bells? Sorry. And so it's all that, I use my talents all over the world. So, but I was there at Top Secret, and as you say, I sort of was downstairs on the first one, and I thought and I'm not good at doing the new material. I mean, and I got in there and I thought, I've got to do it. This is the whole point of being here, is to do 10 minutes new material. Don't, did a little bit of sandwich. Don't cheat. I did a little bit of old stuff. And it all went fine. I was delighted. And I bumped into Brett Goldstein afterwards. I went, oh, God, I'm glad I got through that. And I said, you went down Storm. He said, oh, no, I never do the new stuff downstairs. I only do it upstairs. I thought, oh, God. I was thinking, he's doing really well, And so you learn these things, I suppose, particularly if you're not a regular, stand-up like me. I just didn't know. Don't do it downstairs. Only do it upstairs on that night.
Let's have a quick break.
We are Talk Radio.
Here we're back now.
It wasn't on just then.
No, we're all right. We were just having a little chat. We were having what you might call a bit of a dressing room chat.
My goodness me.
There we go. Now then, let me read this. This is Bob Mills, by the way, Tragedy Plus Time here on Talk Radio. Phoenix Night's hapless psychic to hit the road. Listen to this. It's all written down.
Yep.
Clinton Baptiste, the dubious psychic from Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights. Oh, look, Peter Kay in capital letters.
Yes.
Phoenix Nights is to go on his own tour. The character, played by Alex Lowe, that's in lowercase.
Yeah, shame.
Unbelievable.
Is playing 17 dates this autumn, 18 years after the Channel 4 series aired.
Yeah.
He appeared in one episode of the show making offensive comments to the club audience on the guise of being messages from the other side. The blurb for the tour, entitled The Paranormalist Returns, says Clinton will give readings to the audience offering advice from beyond the grave. That says about what you're doing, it?
That is about it. Yep. It's.
I mean, what it is basically, if anyone hasn't seen it, I had the terrible misfortune once, because I'll do anything for money.
I
had to support one of these people.
Clairvoyant, medium, psychic type.
Medium, I think they were called as a spiritualist, I think. But they offered me good money to go down to Bournemouth to the international and support them. And I thought, all right, I'll do it, because it was good money. So I did the first, I did the second. But by the third, honest to God, this is honestly true, and I'm perilously close to Clinton Baptiste territory here.
Yeah.
He opened by saying, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a joy to be here at the Bournemouth International Centre. What a lovely crowd you are. Ooh, I feel some sadness in the room.
Oh, no.
Really, that's a shocker.
Yeah.
He said, I feel sadness in the room.
Yeah.
Please welcome.
Well, of course you feel sadness in the room. They're widows and widowers. That's why they're here. And I watched it and I thought, this is very clever.
Yeah.
But it's not nice.
No, it's not nice. I mean, part of me thinks, I don't know, for some people they might get some comfort from it. People are very easily led. I mean, I do a thing where I pull out a feather from my pocket and I say, and what is magicked into my pocket a feather from his celestial wings, and he wants you to have that, my darling. And even though people know it's a comedy character, it's on a comedy night with stand-ups and other character comics, there's always one or two women who go, no, that is a sign.
That's a sign.
No, that is a sign.
Mental.
That is a sign. You go, it's a sign I went to Hobbycraft about half an hour before I came.
That's a sign. There's a hole in the line of me puffer jacket. That's what the sign is, done.
But you had a lovely story. I don't know whether you'd have to say it about Simon Godley.
This is my favourite ever.
Go on.
Simon Godley, some years ago, you know Simon Godley, nice people we were talking about earlier, Mr. Whippy's thing that were filling out every night and me and Michael were dying on. But his parents passed away some years ago. And he was on his way around to their flat to look at, sort it out, I suppose. What do you do? It's a terrible tragedy. And he met a lady who had been on the circuit, a comedian, and they were just chatting. He said, I have not seen you for a while. And she said, no. She said, I'm a psychic now. I do medium work. I do spiritualist work. And he said, oh, okay. No. And she said, where are you going? And he told her. And he said, she said, would you like me to come with you? A bit of support? And he said, yeah, okay, fine. He's such a nice man. And they went in together. And she said, he tells this story beautifully. In the middle room, she said, oh, this cabinet. Oh, I'm getting incredible vibrations off this. They had this a long time, didn't they? Yes, but maybe the dent in the carpet is some clue to that. Yes, it was here for many years. Oh, I can just see children opening and closing the door. Yes, that would be us, obviously. Gosh, it's a lovely... Oh, there's so many memories in there. Such a lot of energy. I'm sorry, hang on. Really? They want me to have it. Well, this is embarrassing because I never even knew them. They want me to... At which point I think he showed her the door, obviously. But it is...
I love
listen, let me say... I will just say this, Clinton. You're right.
You can call me Alex if you like.
No, I'm going to call you Clinton because I'm
okay.
talking to Clinton now. I will say this. Yes, I might get some comfort. And they know what it is. They know it's a show. But what I don't like, Alex, I'm talking to Alex now, some of them stay for the next day as well and they do private readings.
Yeah.
And they take 30 quid a go off them or something. Because I think, no, one-to-one, in front of 500 people in the room, it's a show. One-to-one, it's a rip-off.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that. The one I don't like, I won't mention any names, but when they really get graphic and it's like, oh, my darling, I've got a young man here and he's got a blow to the head. He's got a blow to the head. He's been was he in a car crash? All his head is all mashed up. And he's like, really?
No, that's
come
insane.
out. And I've heard that because I've done a lot of my research. I mean, I haven't been to that many live gigs, but you can see it all on YouTube. Endless amounts of Americans, Brits. And some of it's so flipping graphic and horrible. I kind of think it's one thing to be comforted. It's another one to throw up the horrible imagery of death.
What's the process behind it? I mean, to turn around and go, there's a person here, his name begins with the letter P. Well, that's all right. That's Peter. That's going to be Phil. That's going to be a few names.
Yeah.
But his mum passed away quite recently, and suddenly,
Well, it's
what's the chances of that?
No, it's cold.
Cold calling.
Cold calling
And
cold reading.
Cold reading, and I've got not cold calling. That's when you phone up with it.
That's your other job.
Cold reading, I mean, I have to say hats off to Ian D. Montford, Tom
Binns,
who I saw in Edinburgh a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, blimey, he does what I do. And then he starts literally doing the cold reading stuff, and he's clearly read all the books on that, and I thought, oh, great, that I don't do that. He's doing the real thing. I'm all about doing the character and the jokes. And now, putting the show together, I realise why he does that. It's because after you've done a certain amount of, I'm not a very good clairvoyant, medium, psychic. Once you've done that joke, what do you do for the next half an hour of your act? So,
he's a talented man.
Oh, he's very, very good.
Talented.
He was I saw him the other night in a very good film. I hope it was him. Called Eaten by Lions.
Really?
Have you seen Eaten by Lions?
No, that's Tom Binns.
I'm pretty sure it was Tom Binns because he was playing the spiritualist on Blackpool Seafront.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure it was him. Well, we'll look it up if it wasn't him. Someone will tweet me. Yeah, it's a film. It's called Eaten by Lions.
Well,
and it's what's his name? The lad who did the young lad who did Britain's Got Talent. But Jack Barry?
Oh, the young boy. Jack
That's
Barry,
his name, isn't
that's
it?
right, yeah.
It's him and somebody else.
Right.
It's a very funny film.
Yeah.
Jack Carroll.
Jack Carroll, not Jack Barry. I'm sorry, Jack. I don't know why I said
Jack Carroll. And I'm just looking now. Johnny Vegas was in it.
Yeah, Johnny Vegas is in it. He's very good. It's Tom
Binns is in it, yeah.
Playing a really funny, clever.
And ironically, my one of my on-stage girlfriends, Hayley Tamerton, is also in that movie.
Yeah, she's in it. She's very good. What do you mean on-stage girlfriend?
I was in a show called Boogie Nights that Shane Ritchie made famous, and she was my girlfriend in that show.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
But the
He's
other
doing well, Richie.
Shane Ritchie.
You know what
He's doing a new show called The Entertainer.
He's doing The Entertainer. It's not a new show. It's an old John
Archie
Osborne.
Rice?
Yeah, Archie Rice.
Really? Shane Ritchie? Gielgud? Not Gielgud.
Well,
Olivier?
well,
Do you know he's fantastic?
He is fantastic, and I'll tell you what, he'll be better than Olivier. Did you ever see Olivier in it?
Yeah.
Oh, he was appalling.
Really?
On radio, Bob Mills has just dissed.
Yeah, terrible.
He's
Listen,
just dissed Olivier.
By all means, I'm sure he can out Shakespeare. He can do that. With the best of them, but playing Archie Rice, it was lazy. It was all right.
Wasn't the thing about Olivier and that? Like, we're getting into real different territories now.
Come on.
But wasn't the thing that when the kitchen sink dramas happened, he was forced to get into that John Osborne and all that look back.
And he weren't very good at it.
He wasn't, because he was much more your arty, your my lord come hither sort of old
Wuthering Heights. He's brilliant in Wuthering Heights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when he has to play an ordinary person, you're like, well, ordinary people don't act like that. What are you talking about?
That's right.
And what are you doing that silly face for?
Yeah. And he was terrible in Albion Market when they tried to get him in that, wasn't he?
It was awful. And I'll tell you
know
what,
I'm not joking. You two sound like Pete and Dud, right?
Oh, that's right.
I watched the full hour of the bill, and at the end of it, I still didn't know if it was a goodie or a baddie.
That's
it
right.
was rubbish.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Now then, and we're getting a lot of these things, and I have to read some of them. Strange enough, the funniest sketch for me 30 years ago, Pete and Dud did the cancer sketch, which is on Derek and Clive, which is actually the only completely swear word free one on the whole album, because it's so offensive.
That I didn't know.
Yeah. And then, is it true that Eric Clapton liked the Clinton
Baptiste?
Please ask Alexis. Why are you all these people? No one's texted you or me. So please ask Alexis Lowe. Alexis, is that your real name?
No, it's not. Who's calling me Alexis Lowe?
I don't know. About grass.
Oh, yeah, I did a series called Grass with Simon Day.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, where he goes to Suffolk or
That's
something.
right, and I played a sort of organic farmer, with a very Lord Fauntleroy-style son.
Okay.
With Vicky Pepperdine, of course, of... what's she in? Getting On with Joe Scanlon, that
you dragged
drama.
that out the back of your mind. That was years ago.
That was very good.
Well, Vicky Pepperdine, Getting On.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must have been 20 years ago.
No, Getting On with Joe Scanlon, Vicky Pepperdine.
Vicky probably gets on with Joe Scanlon.
Oh, well, anyway. We did that. Yeah, Grass was good.
Yeah.
Good one.
And finally, and I'm sorry to exclude everyone else in the room, does your guest, Alex, still perform as the character? Go on, what character do you think they're asking you
Barry
about?
from Watford.
No, not Barry from Watford. No one gives a...
Alan McNee.
Alan McNee, the Scottish football manager.
Yes, he used to do that on Hawksby and Jacobs.
Yeah.
They went off that. I don't know why. I thought it was an absolute winner, and I still have a Twitter account that seems to get bigger and bigger. And it's I used to come on and do this kind of very dour Scottish football manager character on a Monday, based on the weekend's football results.
Well, go on and give us a spin on that.
Well, it'd be like, what I tell you is I like to talk about silky football. I don't like silky polyester. I like getting polyester. And no, if there are any great goals, it'd be fluky.
You see, the problem with that...
It's too much like Alan Brazil.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. If you're doing that at H&J at 1 till 4, Alan's still driving home through Thetford Forest singing, what's she talking about now? Hey, just now, by the way.
But I've got all sorts of other characters I want to do on TalkSport.
Don't come to me like I'm not authority. I've just been dumped, so don't worry about that. I haven't been dumped. I've been repositioned.
Right.
Is that how they put it?
That's the jargon. We love what you're doing 5 days a week, but do you know what? We think it suit you better to be repositioned to
not
let's say 1 day a week.
No, it doesn't work, Bob, because if I turn around and go, my ex-girlfriend has just repositioned me. It doesn't work, does it?
Exactly. I've just come back from the bank, darling. They've repositioned us. Yeah, we're going to Skegness. No, bless their hearts. So when's this tour start?
The tour starts...
Well, we know that you start writing it tomorrow, so I'm presuming...
we know that,
I'm presuming March, April next year.
No, start of September, so I haven't got long.
September?
Yeah, haven't got long.
God, that's incredible.
Well, no, I mean, I've got it written. I've just got to... And also, 35 minutes of it is what I do on the circuit anyway, so it's not...
So how long's the actual show? How long is it?
37 minutes. No, it's about an hour or something. An hour, and I've got a little bit of an encore on my...
Can I just say, I'm guessing... I've got a passing knowledge of how theatres programme things. I don't think about an hour is what they're paying for.
There is a support act who comes
Who's on support?
Oh, I've got Tom Deacon doing it. I've got Lenny Sherman doing it. I've got Steve Owen doing some. I've got Keris Nelms. I have.
Keris is awesome.
Isn't she brilliant?
Steve's. I'm trying to get Steve on this show, but he never wants to come in.
Why not? He's brilliant.
I don't know, but
I'll have a word with him.
Yeah,
I'll have a word with him.
Steve's. He started out and he was really, really, really good, and then he packed in, didn't do it for 30 years.
That's right.
Because he had another job, very high profile job, different job. But now he's come back, and I'll tell you what, it's like he's had a week off.
Yeah.
Because he's just banged straight. He's an impressionist. Oh, I love impressionists. Yeah. But he does, I've got to tell you, he does the best Flanagan you've ever heard.
He does.
I've heard a few do it, though. There's a few good ones out there.
I tell you what, my favourite that he does is Redknapp.
Yeah, he does. He does the sporting ones.
He does
because he does those sort of. He does a lot of those dinners, I think.
Yeah.
But his Alan Carr and his, you know, they're really good. But the weird thing now is when you're about to go on and the act before you is doing impressions of people that. Well, I was on with them a few months ago.
I know, yeah.
What world are we living in now? Pop has eaten itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not as weird as walking into a dressing room and saying, "All right, son, how are you? All right, son, how are you? How's your dad?
Yeah.
How's your dad?
God, yeah.
And Ian Steele's there.
Yeah.
Kevin Day's son's over there, Edna. How's your dad? All right.
I'm in quite a similar position. My daughter, who was with Mike Lee, my previous comedy agent, my wife said, "Why didn't she go with your acting agent?" And you know, my daughter was like sort of 18 at the time. And I said, my acting agent, independent talent, they're not going to take her. I've worked, for years to try and be with that agency. My daughter went to work for them. She's now in series 2 of The Alienist on Netflix, filming out in Budapest.
Hold on. Right.
There you go.
So this is the. I have been on tour with...
Hi, welcome to I Can Beat That.
That's it, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, and here we go. Well, I can beat it, because you know as well, and you must know as well.
Go on.
Dominic Holland.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
let's not even go there.
But here's the great thing, here's the latest development. Dominic, as we know, is one of the finest comics. Now, there's a man we could take to Vegas. Just
totally.
Like
He's brilliant.
One of the finest comics we've got.
Yeah.
I'll go further and say when it comes to corporate work, he's the finest.
Oh, he's brilliant.
If you want to know, if you're a young comic, you want to know how to do corporate work, go on YouTube and see a piece of material that Dominic Holland did just once for a corporate gig.
Yeah.
It was for the people who supply utilities, the utilities group. And he goes on stage and he says, "Hi, it's lovely to be here. A couple of things. Would you stop phoning me and asking me questions I couldn't possibly know the answer to? Do you mind? It's just, I pick up my phone and you say, hi, can we just ask you, where does your electricity come from at the moment?" Well, there's a switch just inside my door, and if you push it down, it comes on. Push it up, it goes off. I guess if you're pushing me, I guess does it live in my wall? I don't know. It's
brilliant.
A brilliant piece. But he's one of the wonderful things is his son is
Jeffrey Holland of Heidi High, isn't it? And he was
brilliant. His son is Spider-Man, obviously. Tom Holland,
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Listen, he did this show once. Dominic came in to do a pre-record, and as he arrived, he said, "Tom's over, son. He's come with me. Is that all right?" And
it's not. No,
we sat in the studio. And Tom's sitting in the corner.
Yeah,
and we're talking, and then he starts talking about Tom, and I said, "Can I just say, by the way, that Tom's with us, but I don't think I'm allowed to ask you any questions because I know you're under a lot of embargoes because you're doing a massive deal I don't think I'm allowed to speak to you, am I?" And he said, "I'll be honest, I've looked through the contract and it doesn't say at any point, don't join in a conversation with your dad and one of his mates. So
really,
why not?
Amazing.
And it was lovely. But Dominic did a fantastic comedy performance. A book came from it called what's it called? Eclipsed. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Genuinely funny, warm and kind and lovely.
Yeah.
And it comes from, a line of his comedy, which was when you start doing comedy, you just want to be funny. You want to be maybe the best act on the bill that night. You don't want to be the most famous person in the world. You do kind of think you might be the most famous person in your house, and it goes on.
That's right. That's
and
right.
It's very fun. So the book's just gone out in the States. And Americans, with no sense of irony,
have not understood it.
Haven't understood it at all.
And they think he's a jealous father.
They think he is.
Yeah,
Really?
ridiculous.
And it's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen in your life. These people say, "Oh God, your son's done well. Why don't you just live with it?"
Really?
And it's like,
But they don't get it. They didn't get it.
You don't understand. He's done phenomenally well.
Yeah.
And he loves his child more than that. And it's a beautiful.
And do you know what? I did a gig with him last week, and I watched his new material that he does, and he's got this wonderful, wonderful line where he says, "I've got 4 sons." He said, and he said one of them is Spider-Man. He said he's my favourite.
Yeah.
But there's a man who could do Vegas, seriously. Thanks for listening to my show this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be reviewing the papers with James Max tomorrow. Exactly. Why have I got a tweet from Tony Blackburn on my screen? Why would that? Oh, so they're not all for me. Oh, I didn't know they weren't all for me. I've been reading all these tweets here thinking I must run through these in a minute, but why anyone wants to know what India Willoughby's up to, I don't know. But they're not all for me.
I do. I want to know what she's up to.
These are all... Oh, I didn't know that. When is Alex Knee come out? We read that. I said earlier that if Edinburgh isn't very careful about the rents it's charging...
That's right. There's going to be different cities.
York or Newcastle could put a bid in, and someone has I can't... Where is it? Never mind Newcastle for comedy clubs, Bob. Tell them to come to Sunderland.
Yeah.
That's the place. The only problem with Newcastle is transport back to Sunderland is a struggle on a night, and our hotels are cheaper too. So just get them all there. Base it at the Arc. I'll tell you, I'm actually slightly serious about this. If another major city in the north, of which there are many, suddenly thought, you know what? Why don't we have a comedy festival?
But Manchester do one, don't they?
Yeah, but if they think, why don't we go head to head with Edinburgh with the promise of reasonable rents?
Yeah, but is it just that then?
What?
Just the reasonable rents that people will go, yeah, let's try somewhere else?
Well, I don't think it's a choice, though, for a lot of comics. A lot of comics can't go. Simple as that, because they said... I mean, I've spoken to people who've said, I don't mind losing $5,000 on the venue.
But I do mind losing.
But I can't lose another $7,000 but for staying in someone's spare room.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Dan Skinner and I, we do Angelos and Barry. We did the Free Fringe, and that was...
How did that go?
Pretty good. Yeah, it was all right, but you do hear these horror stories of people who've been entertained for an hour and they're sneaking out not to pay. Thankfully they were quite good with us. And a lot of acts take, a touch...
card reader.
But I think that's good if you can ensure that people actually pay. And I think you're trusting people to be decent enough to pay. Then I don't think it's too bad. But the exorbitant, to go on at the Pleasance or something, how much is that going to cost you?
No, but
Thousands.
even on the Free Fringe, you can go up and think, right, I'll back myself on the Free Fringe. If I do well enough to break even, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're then thinking, right, in three weeks, I'm having to pay.
Yeah.
Another
$7,000
to stay here. It's prohibitive.
No,
isn't it?
I totally agree with you. I think if other cities did do it, but how long would it take for those cities to then turn around and go, hold on a minute, we're going to have to start following suit? Because Edinburgh is an epic monster. It really is. Well, how are you going to challenge that just through the rent? I think what you have to do is you have to create something quite unique. I mean, Montreal do it, Adelaide does it. there's other cities that do it. Brighton does it now. Brighton's got their own comedy fest.
But you tend to see, like, all over the country now, fantastic student accommodation popping up everywhere. Yeah. Maybe there's proliferation of that in Edinburgh, and they can just commandeer them and put a load of lovies.
That's the problem. That's all gone out the window.
What, even because people used to stay? I remember staying in the student accommodation there 20 years
Everywhere
ago.
now is ridiculously expensive.
What, even that stuff?
You know what we're crying out for? Another James Corrigan. James Corrigan was the man who walked out of his front door in Batley, looked around and thought, we could build a club here. We could build a comedy. We could build a show business club here. And he built from nothing, disused sewage works, Batley Varieties Club.
Right.
And opened it with Louis Armstrong.
Blimey.
And for 10 years, it was the most successful nightclub in the whole of Europe. It was absolutely sensational.
What a wonderful world, hey?
Oh. Yeah, look what you've done. Hey, listen, don't worry. We've got all the time in the world.
Across the UK, online and...
We are the boys who will make you think again.
Hi, welcome back to Tragedy Plus Time on Talk Radio with me, Bob Mills. You can give us a call if you want. If you can get a word in edgeways, 0344 499 1000. You can text the word talk in your message to 87222. That'll cost you £5, Bob, which you won't see again. Or you can tweet at Talk Radio or at Bob Mills TT. And people are getting offended in Edinburgh about, no, this is the greatest festival in the world. No one could possibly take over. No, the chances are they can't. But I'm just saying, don't take liberties.
Yeah.
All right, don't take liberties. People have got to earn a living. Or if they make a loss, they've got to be making a loss because of the show they're doing, not because of the mattress that they're sleeping on. It's as simple as that. And somebody's already come out saying, what about Leeds? Leeds would do it. Imagine you could base it at the City Varieties.
Actually, Leeds would be a good... No, that's a good call.
That'd be a great...
really good. City Varieties, I'm playing that. Lovely, lovely, beautiful venue.
When are you playing that on your tour?
Yes, I'm playing it twice on the tour,
It's a lovely venue.
Isn't it? It kind of struck me that, you get people who say, oh, God, it's been my ambition. I saw something at the National Theatre. I want to go on there. And I was there with Dan. We did Angelos and Barry there. And I suddenly thought, this is where they did the good old days. That is, for me and a lot of people, our first taste of what the theatre could be. All those people rolling around in the aisles, that lovely, compact, beautiful theatre.
Cornucopia of comic classicism.
Yeah. So, lovely venue, beautiful.
It's one of those venues where you think, God, they've all stood here. Max Miller's stood here.
Yeah.
The first time I did the Hackney Empire, I stood there because I was a bit of an idiot back in those days. I was very young. And I said to the guy who was the stage manager or whatever he was, I said, oh, it's amazing standing there looking out there thinking, oh, God, all the greats. Roy Hudd stood there, Tommy Handley stood there, Max Miller stood there. And I went out and did my gig. When I came off, the bloke went, it's amazing, isn't it? Roy Hudd stood there, Max Miller stood there, and looked at me like, and you just sullied the whole.
Oh, dear.
So where else are you doing on this tour?
Oh, all up. To be honest, I'm going up north, the northwest and the northeast a lot. I think they will get the kind of sensibility of End of the Pier, working men's club thing that Clinton came from. And the last time I saw you, Bob, I was telling you about, I did a gig in Winchester and for a PTA, a very posh school. Mm-hmm. And it was going very well, but a bloke heckled me. I answered him back and he got the ump and came across the stage and tried to attack me.
What?
Yeah, and I had to sprint down the corridor. He was a French bloke. And as my wife said, it's a different thing, an audience in the northwest or northeast, as to a posh school in Winchester and some French dad of a young kid. It's a totally different audience. So I think I'm playing to where people are going to get
What
it.
had you done to offend him?
I can't use the word.
Okay.
But there's a bit in the show... I said to my agent, look, it's all parents and teachers and, it's a school thing. I might go easy on the old language. And my agent and James Gill went, I promise you it's not a problem. I promise you they've had a few drinks. All that goes out the window. The story tells itself.
Goodness.
And I thought, well, okay. And I got out there and this French guy went, Jacko, like, can you contact Michael Jackson, from Beyond the Grave?
Okay.
So I did the old, it's not a quiz, I'll come to you in a minute.
went off, came back to him, and fresh in my mind was, it doesn't matter about the swearing. Anyway, I called him a certain word. And I think the kind of British knockabout nature of comedy, people would let that go. But he was French. He was so offended.
Sitting there thinking, Jacques Tati never spoke to me like that.
No, I was going to say.
Jacques Tati. Anyway, he starts shouting in French. His wife is, head in her hands and all that. So no matter what I tried to do, I couldn't shut him up. So in the end, I just was competing against the shouting, people booing him, telling him to sit down. So I just had to say, listen, I've tried to apologise twice. I don't know what else to do. I hope you raise a lot of money. I'm going to have to call it, quits. Thank you so much. Good night. I thought, that's it. And as I walked off the stage, to my horror, he got up and I thought, I must be able to argue this out with him. It's a comedy gig. And I thought, hold on, 500 people couldn't stop him. So I started legging it down the corridor.
Well, he was chasing you?
Yeah. And James Gill and...
You have got a look of Duncan Norvell about you, though.
Especially with that wig, with the blonde wig. And they had to rugby tackle him, and I could hear all this fight. And this is the way nowadays. I couldn't get into any of the classrooms because there was a sort of digital code. And I was behind this sort of...
it's like a horror movie.
And my old ticker was going. I was thinking, I don't need this at 51. And I could hear all this sort of bundling. And then they came and said to me, well, he's outside now. Do you want to wait for all the audience to go home? And I thought, no, I'm not going to... No, I do not. I don't want to be the only bloke in the building. So they basically put all my props in my case, gave me a box of Quality Street like I was a parent who'd won it in the raffle. So hilarities from the next room. And I came out and I could see the bloke, and it reminded me of being 18. That sort of, don't look, he's over there, don't look at him, don't look at him, don't look at him, get in the car. Got in the car, sped off down the road. I phoned my wife from the car, and I was laughing about it. 2 days later, I was a gibbering wreck. I thought, that bloke was about to kill me, if 500 people can stop. So I like to think, I bloody hope, that when I get up there, up north, and they, Peter Kay's a bit of a god up there, they're going to cut me some slack. But there are certain audiences don't get you pushing the envelope. And if they don't understand that I'm clearly a comedy character, I've got a blonde wig, a satin suit, I'm talking like this, it's so... ludicrous.
But you did mention French a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Have you? What about you? Have you ever... what's the worst you've ever had?
I had 3... I did this routine about ABBA being Indian.
Okay.
And it was just a very plain... Nothing actually horrible about it at all. But 3 guys took offence. 3 Indian guys in the club. And one of them stood up and looked at me and just did the gesture of, I'm going to kill you. And... I thought, right, okay. So I walked off stage, and of course I have a keyboard, as you know, playing the piano as well. So I loaded the keyboard up, everything, got it all set, and I said to the tech guy, can you please get me out of this venue before they come? But he said, there's 3 guys at the stage door waiting for you. He said, who? And I went, I don't know. And he said, well, there's a back route. I'll take you through the back route. So they took my keyboard. I gave them my car keys. They loaded my car up. And then they came back and said, look, Kev, they're on the other side. Said, do you want to get in your car now? I said, yeah. Man. So I ran to my car, got in my car. And as I went round the corner, I came to the giveaway and they saw me. But fortunately, there was no cars and I managed to speed off. And they chased me for about 30 seconds and then stopped, and that was it. And my heart went into crazy mode. It really does. Because you go, that's really not an offensive routine. And yet they took it that way. And I was like, oh, God. So, yeah, I was quite scared.
Were all the songs references to Indian cuisine, by any chance?
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them.
But that's all right, isn't it? It's just a joke about food, isn't it?
It's a joke about food. It's nothing to do with that. And ironically, I did the same routine, believe it or not, in India. And they were on the floor in stitches.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives you a funny kind of balance, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, but that work you did for the Taliban, they were never going to go for that.
They were never going to go for it, no, or the ISIS.
No, that was terrible.
Who used to do that? I've been out in Afghanistan entertaining the troops. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
They got no sense of humour, them Taliban.
Well, actually, you say that. I went to Afghanistan recently and to do a couple of gigs for the old British forces. And I was out there, and at one point they said, there's going to be a load of soldiers here from different nationalities. He said, there's a couple of Turkish soldiers. And I thought, oh, right, okay. And lo and behold, as I'm doing my routine, I do this thing about being surrounded by Armenia, being surrounded by different countries and whatever. And as I mentioned it, they both stood there looking at me. So at the end of the show, I thought, oh, God, they've got guns, right? Yeah. So I walked up, and he literally came up to me and said, you are Armenian? And I said, yeah, thinking I better be right. But I said, yes, I am. He said, very good show. We love it very much.
Oh, really?
So I can't, again, you get into panic mode. They got guns.
Hang on, Omid Jalili was at the gig.
Iranian. No, that's Iranian. That's Iranian. That's Omid. That's Iranian.
That was a very good Omid impression.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What about you, Bob? You've never had anyone sort of come at you?
You must
Two
have.
things have happened to me. Once I was leaving Junglers.
I don't mean asking for their money back.
I was leaving Junglers in Portsmouth, and 3 squaddies that I'd wound up deliberately because they were getting on my nerves were standing outside and said, "All right, big man."
Oh, God.
And I walked out and I just stood there and then one of those wonderful, every now and again, God kisses you in the ear, because the next thing I heard was the door opening and Ricky Grover coming out saying,
nice.
"All right, boys, we've got a problem."
Bless him.
Fantastic.
I love Ricky.
And we went and got in our car. Now, the only time I've ever I was at the Banana once, which is the most lovely, friendly of all comedy clubs. No, it wasn't. Sorry, not the Banana. The Chiswick one. Simon Randall's Chiswick gig. William IV, headliners.
Oh, yeah.
And some guy just started, and I don't know why, but he just really got to me. And he started, and he had some mates with him, and he started trying to be funny. And I shut him up a couple of times, but then he started, and people tell me about it now. I just suddenly
went into it.
I just said, right. And I stared at him and I said, right, this is just me and you now. Forget your mates, they're embarrassing. I can see him moving away. This is just you and me now. There's no one else in the room, it's just you and me. What did you say?
Oh, God.
And it was like, and I could see Simon Randall go, "No, Bob, just come on. You've done 20, that's fine." But it was like, no, because sometimes there comes a point, and again, message to young comics, sometimes it comes a point, because you deal with it, and sometimes it comes a point you think, no.
But hold on, I think that's becoming more regular now as well, to be fair.
Maybe.
Because now people think they have the right to discuss certain material that you do while you're there on stage doing it.
I'm always amazed because, when you read, blimey, Freddie Starr, what's his name?
Freddie Starr.
No, Freddie Starr at my birthday cake. Malcolm Hardy.
Malcolm Hardy, yeah.
All right, okay.
When you read that book, and it talks about up the
sorry,
creek.
hang on. Just before we go any further, Malcolm Hardy's book is called "We Stole Freddie Mercury's Birthday Cake."
No, it's called Freddie.
No, you're getting that confused with Freddie Starr at my hamster.
Malcolm Hardy.
Yes,
whatever. Malcolm Hardy wrote a book.
We got there.
And he's talking about, I'm going to determine to finish this before the end of the hour. He talks about that, the audience spot at Up the Creek and all that.
Yeah.
And Indian Elvis being bottled off and leading the prisoner, stone him, and all that sort of stuff. And you think, that seems to me like, as I imagine stand-up to be. But now there's always a warning, and could you not talk with the acts come on, and you could not do this.
Yeah, but the tunnel was a different kettle of fish. I'll tell you my favourite tunnel story, because we've got to go to a break. But that was a different kettle of fish. That was a place where it was almost accepted that was going to happen. It is genuinely the place, and so much about this is apocryphal. But it's genuinely a place where I saw someone booed off. And then as he went, they went, "No, come on, mate, come on, no, all right, give him a chance." And he went back on, and then they booed him off again.
Oh, it's so awful, isn't it? It's horrible.
And it was
double encore.
Genuinely. Listen, we're gonna go to the news. I'm not saying goodbye, because you'll probably still be here when we get back. I don't know if they're not. Thank you very much, but I suspect they might be.
Talk Radio.
Contact Talk Radio.